explore how our IFS officers are involved in managing the fragile ecosystem in our upcoming panel. Eco-warriors in India are vital in managing fragile ecosystems and tackling environmental issues through reforestation, wildlife protection, and pollution control. They lead efforts to restore degraded lands, create wildlife corridors, and promote sustainable practices. Their work helps preserve biodiversity, combat climate change, and foster environmental stewardship, ensuring a healthier planet for future generations. We are delighted to invite retired IFS officer Mr. DVS Khate, Mr. Rajiv Tiwari, Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, AGMIT and Joint Secretary, Women and Child Development, and Mr. Prem Kumar Vislawat, the founder and CEO of Maru Drones, to the stage for the second panel session of our conclave. The discussion will focus on the crucial topic of managing fragile ecosystems. Your insights and expertise will greatly contribute to understanding and addressing the challenges in preserving these delicate environments while balancing development and conservation. Welcome to the stage, sir. Senior journalist Mr. Manoj Singh will be moderating this session.
Thank you, Muktaji, for such a lovely, insightful conversation. Thank you, Muktaji, for this lovely conversation, very insightful. I'm sure we all have gained some knowledge from your previous conversation, and I'll request everybody present here to click some pictures and post it on social media so that a larger audience can benefit from the conversation we are having right now. अब सोशल मीडिया की बात कर रहे हैं तो आजकल सोशल मीडिया का ही ज़माना है. हम में से ज़्यादातर लोग, मोस्ट ऑफ अस, जाते हैं कहीं घूमने के लिए और रील बनाना हमारा सबसे बड़ा मकसद होता है. एंड वी ऑलवेज ट्राई टू क्लिक पिक्चर्स वेदर वी आर इन जंगल और रेगिस्तान में जाएं या कहीं समंदर में जाएं. और सबसे बड़ी प्रायोरिटी होती है कि हम बढ़िया से बढ़िया पिक्चर क्लिक करें एंड विद अ सीनिक बैकग्राउंड बिहाइंड अस. बट डू वी रियली केयर अबाउट द ecosystem there? I mean, the kind of scenic beauty you see in your backdrop, do you know there are many people, I mean, there are millions of species, they are part of that entire ecosystem. And when we leave that place, because that is not our home, we just don't care about it. We just care about that one lovely picture. So this conversation will be helpful for all of you. And I believe after this conversation, जब भी आप लोग बाहर जाएंगे और एक बढ़िया रील बनाने की कोशिश करेंगे या एक पिक्चर क्लिक करने की कोशिश करेंगे, आपको पता होगा कि आप जहाँ खड़े हैं वहाँ पर वो आपका घर नहीं, लेकिन कितने मिलियंस स्पीशीज़ का वो घर है और उसकी जिम्मेदारी आपकी है. थैंक यू ऑल फॉर हियर. सो सर, सबसे पहले मैं आपसे शुरू करना चाहूँगा. सबसे पहले तो ये बताइए खाती सर कि what is this fragile ecosystem? I mean, we understand ऊपर से कि कई तरह के इकोसिस्टम हैं और उसमें कई तरह के स्पीशीज़ हैं, लेकिन जो हमें आँखों से दिखता है वो हमारे जानवर दिखते हैं. But there are species which we don't see actually and we don't care. So ये fragile ecosystem है क्या?
मेरे ख्याल से पूरा यूनिवर्स ही फ्रेजाइल है. अगर आप इतना बड़ा यूनिवर्स है जिसमें हम लोग रहते हैं या उसमें से एक छोटा सा एक अर्थ है, उसमें भी अर्थ में कितना पोर्शन आदमी रहता है. डेजर्ट में आदमी नहीं रहता, उसके बाद सी में नहीं रहता, स्नो कैप्स में नहीं रहता है. एक सर्टेन मिनिमम परसेंटेज ऑफ लैंड इज़ अवेलेबल फॉर ह्यूमन बीइंग एंड दैट टू explosion of population like in India, China, but many other countries, they are still like Africa is without very much of human beings. And certain countries are facing problem of immigration. But fragile, anything can be fragile, anything can be strong. If you go beyond the carrying capacity of that ecosystem, it will become fragile. And if you remain within that thing, it will remain intact. So my definition of fragile ecosystem is which is sustainable and is within the carrying capacity.
So the following question is, how do you make this industry, the tourism and industry balance? How do we balance between the tourism and the conservation and protect that fragile ecosystem?
You know, I was reading a book written by a very famous German author, I don't just forget his name. He called that we have adopted a banana attitude, build anything, nothing near anywhere. banana attitude. One is that we will not do anything, we will leave the ecosystem to survive like that. Like the IUCN say that the first category of the national parks and sanctuaries where no human beings presence is allowed. Second is that where we'll allow certain type of human presence. And third is that we will have an interaction. So we can have the adoption of the carrying capacity. You know, like the cities now, instead of Bangalore's, now we are having multi-story buildings. And agriculture now, instead of extensive agriculture, we are going for intensive agriculture, though it's also had some negative points. So sustainability can be increased. Similarly, you are talking about the tourism. Instead of asking each and every individual to take its gypsy inside the park area, suppose we take a mass tourism vehicle like a canter or raft type of thing inside, so capacity will increase. And suppose allowing the day visitors inside, like Corbett, we don't allow day visitors in Corbett, the Dhikala area, tourism zone area. So the number of rooms are the carrying capacity of that area. But there are certain national parks, they have fixed the number of 30 canters, 40 canters, and sometimes you see the kiosks inside the park areas. So it's basically the rules which are can maintain the system from a fragile to this thing. And it should be a dynamic process. It's not necessarily that suppose you have fixed this thing, it will not. It can come down, it can go up.
So, I mean, since you, government knows what are the challenges, and in general, people have some understanding of environment and sustainability. What are the policy changes required in this sector? I mean, do you feel that there is a strong need of some, revolutionary policy changes?
You know, we have stopped the holistic planning. Like the district is the unity of administration in a state. And if district plan includes the sustainability or the conservation plan of that area, definitely it will protect that. Otherwise, what left department is government left department is doing, right is not aware of that. I remember when I joined service, my first boss told me that the forest division's boundaries in the hill state, in the states, in the districts and hills were not confined to the district boundaries. They were according to the catchment area of the river. So suppose it's the catchment area of Bhagirathi or the Alaknanda or some other river. So one division used to manage that whole catchment. But with the advent of now the district planning system, we confined the divisions into districts. Now one DFO is in charge of one district, and what is happening in the other district, he is not aware. So the same catchment is getting different treatments. Suppose in this area it's a protection work in cycle, in other district it is not. So this type of things we have to think, and we have to have a holistic pattern. I hope that we should manage the forest according to catchment, especially in the fragile areas, not as district boundaries. This is one of the drastic changes I want. Second thing is that we have to look for those actions or those development actions which should not damage them permanently.
Rajiv ji, you're with Women and Child Development Department.
No. I'm not with Women and Child Development. I am with National Commission for Scheduled Castes.
Okay, so thank you, Varun, for providing me this wonderful research. So, sir, I mean, how do we inculcate, knowledge or, a serious understanding about sustainability as a holistic topic among youths and in our family?
See, to understand sustainability, first let's understand our ecosystem itself. You are running a video on the screen. You see the landslides. You see the floods there. Do we understand the landslides in totality? What are the reasons? In forest, we think that forests are solution to all the problems. Does it really happen? What are the limits and controls of the forest within which it has its positive impact? It's important to understand that. If you're talking about the fragile ecosystem, let's talk about the landslides. It's a part of the fragile ecosystem. If you have a wonderful forest ecosystem, forest land use, if you clear fell the forest, what impact will it have on the landslides? It will have shallow landslides. Shallow landslides means limited up to the root zone, correct? You cut the roads on the hills, then you have many landslides whose depth is limited to the depth of the cutting of the road. But if you talk of the deep landslides, forests don't have much role as far as deep landslides are concerned, which depends on the geology of the area and more importantly, the subsoil moisture and the rainfall conditions. So if you have perpetual and sustainable very high rainfall and subsoil moisture region is very high, you have deep landslides. So it's important to understand that forest works under certain limits and controls, and as a technical officer, we need to understand what are the limits and controls within which that forest will have beneficial use.
So now, since we see a lot of development happening in and around the entire, actually the mountain area, and we are very much, passionate about this all-weather roads and all-weather infrastructure. So what is how does it affect the entire ecosystem, and is it really, is it really sustainable to, think even about, having an all-weather infrastructure, going across length and breadth of?
See, as far as government is concerned, connectivity to the public is very important. As far as ecologist is concerned, it has got its own detrimental impact. So, from hydrological angle, if you cut a road on a hill, its adverse impact on the hydrology of the area is as such that whole of the hill has been denuded from the forest. So suddenly you have rush of water, suddenly you have a lot of runoff, and a lot of soil erosion as well. So it has its detrimental effect. It is certainly not sustainable.
Sir, your thoughts?
Sir.
The problem with what you said, landslides and floods and other things, which Rajiv was also mentioning, is that the approach what we have taken, that definitely connectivity is required. Country is more, especially in Chardham, the areas, border road areas, government is saying, country is more important. The security of country is that other side they have plateau and they have brought road up to the border, our soil. And we are still taking 4 to 5 days to reach at the border of our other country. So definitely it is required. But certain checks are very required. That working in the forest department, I found that probably the most negligible part for this is the grasslands. Grasslands absorb more water than forest areas, especially the alpine meadows. And see the conditions of alpine meadows we have, how we are keeping our alpine meadows in the name of tourism or medicinal plant extractions, that we have damaged the one of the basic water, the bloating paper of the ecosystem. Second thing, what I found that due to climate change, many glaciers are melting and breaking their parts, and it is coming into the high altitude lakes, and their burns are breaking, and it is creating sudden the floods in the area. What happened in Kedarnath and last time Vishnuprayag and Joshimath areas, that the portion of glacier fell down in the high altitude lakes, and the water came out in a gush and killed so many people. The third is the development of infrastructure. If you see, I studied in Nainital, and if you're coming from Nainital to Haldwani, I don't know how many people know the geography of that area. There was only one landslide area, which was known as Gulab Ghati, between Katgurdam and Rani Bagh. And when we in the schools and we are waiting for parents to come, suppose they are not coming to pick us, it means that Gulab Ghati is closed. That's the only point in the 35 kilometer, 40 kilometer area, only one landslide zone. But widening of roads, that was a British time made road. And widening of roads and using of blastings, the border roads, how they are using the dynamites to break the rocks. Probably that's the most dangerous thing we have created. And today the situation is that we have developed many points. When I was DFO in Garhwal, that time hardly we had 1 or 2 points between from Rishikesh to Badrinath. Now we have multiple places where the landslides are coming out. And I saw in China, I don't know how, they're expert, I'm not engineer, Rajiv is engineer, he will be able to better than me, that they are using the tunnels now. They want to keep the road straight. They said that wastage of time in making bends and U-turn bends and other things, instead of keep it straight, it will certainly take a lot of capital, but in future it will save your petrol, it will save your this thing, future it will save the law for the railways in Uttarakhand from Karnaprayag, from Rishikesh to Karnaprayag, they are using tunnels and this thing. I don't know how effective it will be. And similarly, they are using now the different technology for making the hydroelectric plants by run of the river projects, where they are taking the water in tunnels instead of making a huge dam. And so far, their adverse impacts are not very severe or visible in Garhwal area. There can be a solution like similar, that you reduce the damage to this thing and especially reduce the capillary water system in the earth.
So definitely we want best of the both worlds. We want development and also conserve the ecosystem.
Definitely.
So Mr. Kumar, Sri Kumar, Prem Kumar ji, sorry. I just saw your wonderful drones outside there in the lobby area. So I mean, I'm totally not aware. What do you do with that?
So I have a small 1 minute video. Can the AV team, so that more action what we do, if you could see, will be a better item.
Lovely. So, sir, I mean, we can understand a bit of it. So, please explain to the audience how does it help to the to protect the entire ecosystem there.
So basically, we were studying in Assam and IIT Guwahati, and we see a lot of forest fires happen every year. And we've been listening every time the deforestation very often. So we thought, majority of area is not accessible. And we saw the plantation we were doing with helicopters, or we were doing with a community where throwing the seed balls as a manually when they were passing the forest areas and everything. We thought, can we increase the green cover percentage? Was only the thought process when we started back in 2018 this as an initiative. And then we saw majority of the forest areas, they don't allow the community at present because of the lot of the challenges. So, and a lot of wild animals are there and everything. So we initiated this, and we did 1-2 forests first. Then we understood it has to be at a scale. Then we started saying the larger vision, saying that can we plant a 1 billion, 100 crore plantation by 2030. That's where we started working with the CSR companies who can support us, or forest officers who are proactive, who are supporting towards reforestation, afforestation activities, and we started working. So where we are bringing the local communities to make the seed balls, or NGOs which are working it, and using a drone we identify deforested or the places where have to be planted, and we were using this at a scale. So this year we did Bihar, Maharashtra, a couple of places we are doing it. And so we are trying to reach as many, because definitely we have a gratitude towards all the IFS officers who are giving a lot of efforts. We are becoming enabler for them through technology like a drone to support them in scaling or increasing green cover in the country.
Lovely. So, Sir Rajiv sir, I mean, technology is one thing that can bring a lot of disruptive changes in both in attitude and on ground action. So, does government has any plan, any policy to introduce more technology, something beyond drone?
I don't know now what, but I remember then when I was very young, and when I joined service after that also, we started mechanized planting in Tarai areas of Uttar Pradesh. That time, present Uttarakhand area was part of Uttar Pradesh, and we created plantation divisions by using, mechanized ways. The tractors were imported from Czechoslovakia, and Russian tractors. The caterpillars from US came, and we clear-felled all the mixed forest because it has no timber values. And we introduced plantations of eucalyptus, poplar, ailanthus, species which were not native species, and almost the whole ecosystem. That was the most diverse forest areas and prime habitat for tiger and other biodiversity, because the most diverse, but unfortunately it has no timber value. So that area was finished by the technology. I hope technology is required, but not to the extent that we damage the ecosystem.
Right. So, Prem, since you come from the startup ecosystem and you are part of the technology, what are the other technologies do you think? I mean, you must have met several people. What are the other technologies do you think can help this cause?
One of the biggest aspect is the surveillance. Because what we see is today surveillance as a technology has scaled a lot. You can fly at very high height, like 100 meters, more than 50 meters. You don't understand any noise of the drone. And you can do this, the surveillance aspect, it can be animal or unauthorized person is once, or doing regular border checks where the forests are in thousands and hectares, having hundreds of people monitoring them. A drone, you can define the boundary and you can do regular periodical. If any change in the borders of the forest lands, you can automatically digitize alerts you, so that the data will support them in making the decision faster, rather is one aspect. Second is majority of the forest areas of poaching is happening because lands, and a lot of land has been by local or because of the forces which are around, people are doing it. So mapping and surveying of all the forest areas is a very important aspect which Government of India is also trying to push, so that they could able to identify how much of land area is retained, because which is in digital what says in thousands and lakhs of hectares, on ground how it is. Second is on the doing a lot of plant count, species count, or doing a lot of analytical ways, or what they're doing it. We have worked with few of the IFS officers where they're saying identifying the strings, because a lot of people are doing like killing, like going for hunting and everything. So identifying the strings, or identifying some they've added animals with GPS tags to identify where are they present in the forest areas by just doing the video, aerial imaging or aerial video, and they could identify where are these plants, the animals are present in the forest areas. So quickly. So basically, what you were taking few days, few hours, is in few minutes you could able to do with the technology like a drone walk.
Wonderful. Sounds very effective. Rajiv ji, I would like to ask you, I mean, since, forest is such a vital thing, in agriculture, we put the soil for rest. I mean, we keep a season where we don't grow anything. can't we put the forest on rest for in a periodic basis?
So in agriculture, you put your land for rest for some time. So likewise in forest also, you give some rest to forest, don't disturb it. So if you don't disturb the forest areas, it will rejuvenate. It will come up on its own with little bit of interventions. So it's important to give rest to the forest as well.
So, I mean, do we have any such policy? Are we thinking, would you guys recommend such policy where, forests are put for rest?
Depending upon the circumstances, yes. I am from Jammu and Kashmir cadre. So we have a lot of pressure of grazing there. So there is system of introducing the periodical grazing system. So you just put some part of the compartment to rest, and you don't allow grazing. We have lot of population of nomads, and lot of population of goats and sheep there. So put some part of the forest to rest for some time, periodical rest, and then let it rejuvenate, let it regain its health. Then we open for it after a decade or so. Then we open for next cycle of grazing.
Khadi sir, everything comes back to basic public awareness, and there are basically two stakeholders. One is the government and policymakers, and another is the people like us. And there's a lot of emphasis on public awareness. We see this, we hear about it a lot. We see, I mean, whenever you go to any national park, we see those boards, guides telling you basic, as a formality, mostly, what to do, what not to do. But how do we make this interactive, where it becomes, part of either a curriculum or our daily conversation within the house? Can we gamify the whole thing?
Erstwhile Uttar Pradesh, and especially the hills which are in the part of now Uttarakhand, there was a Kumaon Grievance Committee in 1930, which was under the Govind Vallabh Pant, who was that time one of the councillor from that area. And government started reserving, now nationalizing the forest areas. And there was a big agitation against the movement that we should not nationalize the forest area. 1861 forests were nationalized in India, and when it came to the hills, people burned that thing. Then the Kumaon Grievance Committee was formed for to solve the problem with the interaction with the people. And that time the concept of Ban Panchayats came in that area, where Ban Panchayats were declared as forest officers, and communities were given, there was a reserve forest area, then there was a degraded forest area, means Soyam area. Abbal, Doyam and Soyam, these are three Urdu words. Abbal means class 1 forest, which were with the forest department, which were reserve forest areas. Doyam means those forest areas which are protected forest areas, and which was the products were shared between the communities. And Soyam means those third class forest areas which are very deteriorated and are in very bad shape. With the help of communities, those areas were be recovered, and there are many good panchayats. I don't know whether you went to Tungnath area ever. The forest area is with the Ban Panchayats, is with Ban Panchayat, probably one of the best Ban Panchayats. If you go to Kumaon area and many parts of Garhwal areas, the British Garhwal, not the Tehri Maharaj as Garhwal like Tehri and Uttarkashi, but old Garhwal and Kumaon areas, we have one of the best the community forest areas, which are the Ban Panchayats. And that's the first joint forest management in India, started in 1930 by the Kumaon Grievance Committee and with the help of Britishers. So definitely, if communities want, they can protect the forest areas. And what happened that when we provided the liquid petroleum gas in cylinders in the hills of Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, that time it was in 70s, early 70s or mid 70s, a lot of forests were protected from that area. So you have to give an alternative to these people. That's why you can save it. Otherwise, even communities will not listen it. You have to provide alternative to them for the resources they are using for the forest areas.
Rajivji, those are the, those people who are in that community, they are the real stakeholders. And But people like us who are not living in that vicinity, we are not living in jungle or near the jungle, and we occasionally go to the jungle, I mean, or jungle or any other, national park. How do you educate us? I mean, printing material and having such conversation once in a while is one thing, but how to engage the communities who are part of the urban culture? I mean, Mumbai, Maharashtra, or Delhi, NCR, people who very often go to the jungle or forest. How do you engage them? I mean, do you have any
See,
insight?
it's important to engage them in the local, urban forest areas first. Like in Delhi, you have a lot of biodiversity parks. As I understand, lot many people visit biodiversity parks. Lot many students, university students, college students, they visit biodiversity parks. So it's very important to make them understand the importance of forest right at the very beginning of their college life, let's say school life. So it's part of the basic curriculum at the primary and primary education level itself. Only then I and you will be educated. एक बार हम graduation पे पहुंच जाते हैं, we understand, we know too many things, and we become very less flexible to grasp new things. So it should start from the childhood stage. Only then that habit will be inculcated.
Okay, that sounds good. Premji, again coming back to the same conversation, I asked you same question. I mean, your drone does what it does, but then you must have been interacting with other people. There is a lot of innovation happening in technology, AI, and an entrepreneur always look for a solution. The need gap. What are the other solutions which can help conservation, sustainability, and also tourism? I mean, do you have any solution? Have you interacted with any other entrepreneur?
Definitely. When we are doing this reforestation activities also, seed ball making is a very fascinating for a lot of people. So they come to the forest. Like what we did was in few of the forest areas, we work with all the companies, right? They bring their employees in the forest area to make the seed balls. So that becomes a community engaging kind of activities, what they will see. Because rather taking them to any of the restaurant and everything, they want to make them experience forest and also do certain activity in the forest areas is what we've seen first. And a lot of people are doing the carbon sequencing, carbon credit as the two things which globally were doing it. In India also, a lot of people are working towards the carbon sequencing and carbon credit market, what we have seen the technology-wise, what we have seen. And the engaging the community at a forest level, there are a lot of challenges is because what we have seen is in any of the interventions what we do in the forest, there's a limitation because of a certain, because they cannot allow people because there are a lot of other activities that are going to happen. So what they're doing is very periodically they do activities. It can be more of a awareness point of view or telling the new technology how it works in more of a managing the nearest all the community elements and everything. But what we have seen is the adoption is little slow at present in the forestry space. But now what we were depending on people is now we're gonna depend on the technology. Having 1,000 people monitoring that forest, having couple of drones or couple of technology, like we have adopted CCTVs.
Right.
Then we are adopting now the technology like a drone and a softwares kind of a stuff because we want to sit in the office and want to monitor, enter what is happening in the forest areas. Is that where the experience what we've been requested from the lot of officers?
So let's enter to the final round of this conversation. Khatis sir, I mean, in tourism and especially in पहाड़ में सबसे पहला जो डेस्टिनेशन होता है आदमी का वो रिसोर्ट होता है, होटल होता है, सबसे पहले लोग वहीं जाते हैं. Can't we engage them and make them responsible as well and create some kind of policy or campaign where they become part of the awareness campaign and take care of the ecological ecosystem?
Definitely, yes. The resorts owners associations and the other hoteliers, they can take part in conservation of that areas, and the awareness they can create. But sometimes they also become, against the policies of the department, where the conflict start between the government and the resortiers. That especially I see in Corbett areas, they have encroached the best corridor between Ramnagar division and Corbett, where the elephants, tiger, everybody was moving. Now, sometimes the tiger moves or elephant moves in the area, then conflict started. And they have created their non-governmental, these social organizations, which receive fund from abroad in the name of protecting the wildlife and this thing. And they are doing their work, but especially in the hilly area, not confined to this area, they can generate employment, they can generate awareness if they are following the government policies.
Sir, finally, I would ask you to end this session on a very positive note. Tell us one success story of yours as a forest officer, which helped both educating people and also promote sustainable tourism.
I always give example of Corbett. Corbett, there's a dam called Kalagal Dam in Corbett, which created an 80 square kilometer big lake in the park area. And this lake was created in early 1970s. And its lifetime was expected 25 years. That before the 2000, the siltation will take place and the lake will die and the project will also die. That's why all buildings are made for 25 years only in the Kalagarh area. But the Corbett lake and the hydroelectric project is much after 50 years it is working. And another, at least I can say 30 or 40 years, it is not going to anywhere. Its best example is the two forest divisions are created to plant the catchment area of the Ramganga river in the Garhwal area and Kumaon area. And the excellent work done by these two divisions. Still, no siltation is in the lake in Corbett area. This is one of the best examples. Second is the Bhakra Nagal Dam. If you start from Anandpur Sahib, you climb that, you see the massive plantation done in the catchment area of Bias, river, Bhakra river, which up to Bilaspur, and which stopped siltation and that's why the Bhakra Nagal Dam is surviving till today. These are the two best examples I always quote. There will be many, because I have worked in Uttarakhand and I know about Corbett, and we are 3 or 4 people who have worked in the Corbett areas here, sitting here. I can give that. Still, I don't think it is another 20 or 30 years the lake is going to die in the Corbett area. It means that this is the best example how the good work in the catchment areas can stop the siltation, floods and anything. Nothing happened in Kalagarh Dam for last 50 years.
Rajiv ji.
In my last posting, I was with Delhi Development Authority as a principal commissioner. We worked in the Yamuna floodplains and eco-restoration of Yamuna floodplains. Of course, help from the locals were very important. Whole of the areas was encroached. Removal of encroachment again, and restoration of sites, and the identifying uses of the locals are paramount to the success of the project. And now you go to sites which were totally encroached 3-4 years back, totally degraded. Now they are sites where hundreds of migratory birds are coming. Beautiful floodplain forests have been created. And when we say the floodplain forest, it is not the trees. It is basically the grasslands. Khati sir very rightly pointed out that grasslands are very important ecosystem that we have that is often ignored. Whether it is alpine forest or Nilgiris grasslands were converted into the plantations, or the floodplains like Chambal and the Yamuna floodplain where rainfall is very low and it cannot sustain very high forest. Their grasslands are very important. So those grasslands have helped in the restoration of floodplain. And now those sites which used to be encroached, you see hundreds of people coming for morning walk, thousands of people coming for the evening walk, and during the winters and holidays, you see people sitting out there. College students are reaching out that area, sitting beside the water body, lakes. A lot of birds are there, migratory birds are there. So it's a success story for us.
Thank you. Thank you, sirs, for sharing such insights and enlightening us. Thank you, audience, for listening. And I hope next time जब आप कहीं घूमने जाएंगे तो सेल्फी से ज़्यादा फोकस एनवायरनमेंट पे और उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने पे होगा. Thank you very much. Thank you.
For an engaging conversation, thank you so much, everybody.